Be strong, and you will be renewed.
In a future where turning 30 means you die in a glowing death ceremony called Carousel, Logan's Run shocked audiences with its wild world and retro-futuristic flair. But did you know the lead actor was too old to survive in that world? And the whole thing nearly got scrapped before it was even filmed? Insane, right? Well, there's plenty more where that came from. Here are some of the weirdest facts you didn't know about Logan's Run. Number 1. It's based on a book, but very different. Logan's Run wasn't just some wild idea from a Hollywood screenwriter. It was based on a novel written in 1967 by William F. Nolan and George Clayton Johnson. But if you've seen the movie and then picked up the book expecting the same story, you'd probably be surprised at how different things are. For starters, in the book, the age limit isn't 30, it's 21. That changes the vibe entirely. You're not watching grown adults fighting a ticking clock. You're watching a world that wipes people out before they've even lived. The infamous Carousel ceremony where citizens supposedly get renewed wasn't even in the book. That whole twisted ritual was invented specifically for the movie. And the ending? Way different. In the movie, Logan and Jessica escape to a ruined world and discover that old age exists after all.
He's telling the truth! We've been outside! There's another world outside!
Number 2. The movie nearly died in development hell. Logan's Run almost never happened. MGM bought the film rights in 1969, right after science fiction movies like 2001, A Space Odyssey, and Planet of the Apes made waves. You'd think that meant a fast track to production, but nope, it stalled for years. Producer George Pal, famous for hits like The Time Machine and War of the Worlds, originally wanted to make it, and even had James Bond screenwriter Richard Maibaum working on a script. But the team couldn't agree on what the movie should be. Some people wanted it to tackle the social issues of the day, others just wanted a flashy science fiction adventure. The back-and-forth rewrites dragged the project into limbo. Eventually, George Pal got frustrated and walked away. Number 3. Soilent Green and Westworld saved it. If it weren't for Soilent Green and Westworld, Logan's Run might still be sitting on a forgotten shelf at MGM. By the early 70s, the studio had basically given up on it, until those two science fiction films unexpectedly hit big at the box office in 1973. Both were gritty, weird, and surprisingly profitable, and both were distributed by MGM. Suddenly, executives realized that audiences weren't done with science fiction after all. They saw a new opportunity to cash in on this dystopian trend. Logan's Run got pulled out of mothballs and was officially revived in 1974. A new screenwriter, David Zelaug Goodman, who had worked on Straw Dogs, was hired to polish the story. Saul David, who had produced Fantastic Voyage, came on as producer, and director, Michael Anderson, known for Around the World in 80 Days, was brought in to shape the film's strange new world. Number 4. Michael York was convinced by his driver. Michael York wasn't exactly begging to be in Logan's Run. At the time, he was a major rising star thanks to hits like Cabaret and Murder on the Orient Express. When offered the role of Logan 5, he wasn't feeling it. He thought the part didn't suit him and didn't seem excited by the idea of running around in a shiny jumpsuit while chasing or escaping death. But then came one of the most bizarre twists in casting history. A theater intern working as York's driver kept nagging him about it. Not only was the guy persistent, but he literally pointed his finger at York and told him he had to take the role. Something about the intensity of that random driver's belief stuck with him. Eventually, York changed his mind and signed on. Number 5. One major role was recast at the last minute. Not everything about Logan's Run went according to plan, especially when it came to casting. William Devane was originally cast as Francis Seven, Logan's partner turned enemy. It made sense at the time. Devane was fresh off Marathon Man and was becoming a go-to actor for edgy roles. But before filming even started, he got an offer he couldn't refuse. A role in Alfred Hitchcock's Family Plot. It was Hitchcock's final film, and Devane walked away from Logan's Run to take it. Just like that, the production was left scrambling. Richard Jordan stepped in to take the role, and while he did a solid job, there's a bit of irony. Jordan was almost 40 during the shoot. That's pretty hilarious, considering the whole plot of the movie revolves around killing people once they hit 30. Number 6. Most of the cast was too old to renew. It's kind of ironic when you think about it. Logan's Run is all about a world where turning 30 means death, yet almost every major actor in the film had already passed that deadly milestone. Michael York, who played Logan 5, was 33 during filming. Richard Jordan, who played Francis, wasn't just over the line. He was pushing 40, at 38 years old. Even Farrah Fawcett, in her small role as Holly, was 29 and barely made the cut. The only lead who actually fit within the world's strict age rule was Jenny Agutter, who played Jessica 6. She was 23 at the time and still had a few years to spare in Logan's world. It's funny when you watch the film now with that in mind, because the whole idea of a society obsessed with youth feels just a bit off when the cast themselves look so adult. But casting older actors gave the film a certain weight. It made the characters feel more seasoned, like they understood the consequences of renewal, even if they weren't exactly the right age to be facing it. Number 7. Carousel scene was a technical headache.
Identify. Rise.
The carousel sequence in Logan's Run is probably the one thing everyone remembers. It's dramatic, creepy, and completely mesmerizing. A group of citizens dressed in red robes float into the air in hopes of being renewed, while a cheering crowd watches them explode. It's haunting stuff. But what you don't see, unless you're really paying attention or watching in HD, is that the entire scene was a nightmare for the special effects team. The actors were lifted using visible wires, and the plan was to hide those wires in post-production or through clever lighting. Unfortunately, the technology just wasn't there to make it seamless. You can still spot those wires if you look closely, and it kind of breaks the illusion. That didn't stop the scene from becoming one of the most iconic moments in 1970s science fiction. Despite the visible flaws, it stuck in people's memories because it was so bizarre and otherworldly. The mix of flashing lights, soaring bodies, and the eerie music created something that looked both beautiful and disturbing, a perfect match for the film's twisted utopia. Number 8. The set was gigantic and groundbreaking. Logan's Run wasn't just ambitious in story, it was massive behind the scenes too. The production used 9 full sound stages at MGM Studios, which was practically unheard of at the time. To create the look of a futuristic dome city, the filmmakers went big. They constructed detailed interiors, glowing passageways, and entire sections of the cityscape all from scratch. But that wasn't even the wildest part. They also shot scenes on location in Dallas, Texas, using real places like shopping malls, restaurants, and nightclubs. One of the most recognizable spots is the Dallas Market Center, which gave that clean, futuristic look the movie was going for without needing digital effects. And the miniature set of the Dome City? It was the largest ever built at the time. This wasn't just a little model. They poured serious time and budget into making it look expansive and lived in. Even though it's obvious today that some of it was fake, back then it looked like the future. Logan's Run didn't just imagine another world, it physically built one, and that's what made it feel so real on screen. Number 9. Lots of scenes got cut in post-production.
Watch now. Here's the improvement. Instant healing before you feel a thing.
What ended up on screen in Logan's Run is only part of what was originally filmed. The post-production process lasted 8 months, and during that time, a lot of footage was chopped out. Test audiences were shown early versions of the movie, and the studio quickly realized that it was going to get a harsher rating unless they toned things down. Some of the cuts were for nudity and violence, things that would have pushed the film out of a PG rating, but others were longer scenes that just didn't make the final cut. One deleted scene showed Francis hunting a runner through the city while a crowd watches and cheers. That was supposed to happen early in the movie, setting up the society's twisted sense of justice. Another chunk removed was from the New You clinic, where characters get cosmetic surgery.
Is this your first time? It's my third.
Does man do the move?
No, but I hear he's terrific. Have you seen his work?
Yes, yes, just once.
Sadly, much of that cut footage is lost, though a few clips have surfaced as DVD bonus content. It makes you wonder what kind of movie we could have seen if it had all been left in. A darker, more intense version of this already eerie future. Number 10. Jerry Goldsmith's score was epic. If you close your eyes and listen to the music in Logan's Run, you can almost feel the strange, dreamy world the movie creates. That's all thanks to Jerry Goldsmith. He was already a rising legend in Hollywood when he composed the score for this film, and Logan's Run gave him the chance to experiment with sound. What's so cool is how he blended traditional orchestral music with early electronic elements. Some of those synth sounds might feel dated today, but in 1976, they were futuristic and edgy. The music helped sell the idea that this world was both beautiful and sinister at the same time. Goldsmith didn't just score scenes, he added an emotional layer that made them hit harder. Whether it was the dreamy tension of the carousel, the sweeping escape scenes, or the quiet moments outside the dome, his music shaped how everything felt. Over time, fans and critics alike have come to recognize the Logan's Run score as one of Goldsmith's hidden gems. It's eerie, elegant, and totally unforgettable, just like the movie itself. Number 11. Marvel Comics adapted it, then dropped it. In 1977, Logan's Run made the leap from screen to page when Marvel Comics released a short-lived comic series based on the film. With stunning artwork by George Perez, who later became a legend for his work on titles like Wonder Woman and Teen Titans, the comics brought a fresh, colorful energy to the story. The series followed the basic plot of the movie, but expanded on the universe with extra action and added backstory. It captured the futuristic setting in bold, vibrant panels that stood out on shelves. The first few issues were praised for staying true to the film's tone, while also making it a bit more dynamic and punchy, as comics often do. But despite the decent visuals and a recognizable title, the comic only lasted for 7 issues. Sales didn't hit the mark Marvel had hoped for, and the series was abruptly canceled. Even though it was short-lived, those 7 issues still hold a certain cult appeal today, especially among fans of 1970s science fiction. They're like a forgotten artifact from a time when movies and comics tried to ride the same wave. Number 12. The TV show was a total flop. After the movie's release, CBS tried to keep the momentum going with a Logan's Run television series. It aired in late 1977 and limped into early 1978, managing just 14 episodes before being canceled. From the start, things were messy. Instead of continuing the film's storyline or bringing back the original cast, the series completely recast the roles. They even tried to make the new actors look like their movie counterparts, which didn't exactly help. Fans of the film weren't impressed, and the new audience CBS hoped to attract never really showed up. Behind the scenes, the production was chaotic. William F. Nolan, the co-author of the original novel, wrote the pilot, but it was heavily changed after CBS demanded rewrites. Even Star Trek writer David Gerrold submitted a script that got altered so much he asked to be credited as no award, a sarcastic play on his disappointment. Add to that the firing of Saul David, the movie's producer who also worked on the show, and the whole thing started to feel cursed. It just couldn't find its footing, and audiences tuned out fast. Number 13. MGM poured a fortune into it. When Logan's Run finally went into production, MGM wasn't playing it safe. The studio initially planned to spend around $3 million, but the budget kept climbing. By the time filming wrapped, costs had nearly tripled to somewhere between $8 and $9 million, making it the most expensive MGM movie in a decade. For a science fiction film in the mid-70s, that was a massive investment. The money went into elaborate sets, costumes, special effects, and the groundbreaking miniature dome city. MGM was betting big that this strange dystopian tale would pay off. And it did. When the movie hit theaters in 1976, it earned $23 million, more than doubling its final cost and giving MGM a much-needed financial boost. At that time, the studio was struggling, and Logan's Run helped pull it back into the black. It wasn't just a win at the box office, it was a lifeline. Even with the polarizing reviews, MGM saw Logan's Run as a success, both creatively and commercially. It proved that science fiction could still be big business, even before Star Wars exploded into the scene. Number 14. Critics mocked it, but it won an Oscar. Logan's Run wasn't exactly showered with praise when it came out. A lot of critics rolled their eyes at its flashy visuals and thought the story was too simplistic. Some called it silly, and others said it was just another movie about a futuristic society falling apart. But despite all that criticism, the film still walked away with one of Hollywood's highest honors. It won the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects in 1977, and honestly, it earned it. Even with visible wires and some outdated tech by today's standards, Logan's Run was pushing boundaries in what special effects could do on screen. The carousel scene alone was enough to leave an impression. At the time, that kind of world building, with giant miniatures, glowing tunnels, and laser-filled chambers, was fresh and exciting. Fans saw past the clunky parts and appreciated the ambition. Number 15, it was the end of a science fiction era. Logan's Run came out at a turning point in science fiction. From the late 60s to the mid-70s, most science fiction films were bleak, slow-paced, and filled with deep philosophical questions about technology, control, and society falling apart. Logan's Run fit perfectly into that mold, a story about a pleasure-obsessed world where people are executed at 30 to maintain balance. But just 1 year later, everything changed. In 1977, Star Wars landed like a bombshell. It brought a whole new vision to the genre: space battles, hope, adventure, and pure cinematic magic. The old-school dystopian films suddenly looked outdated. Logan's Run ended up being the last big science fiction movie before that shift. It marked the final chapter of an era when science fiction was more about warnings than wonders. And even though it was quickly overshadowed, fans still look back at Logan's Run with admiration. It's weird, beautiful, and a little clunky, but that's what makes it special. It holds onto the last breath of a time when science fiction was dark, thoughtful, and filled with questions instead of lightsabers. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, remember to subscribe to our channel.